What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. If you want to stay updated on Ravens content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and hit the notification bell as well if you want to get notified every single time I put a brand new video. Now, in this video today, I'm going to be talking about some Ravens news that came out today, referencing Justin Houston. Have a couple of other videos that will be coming out over the next couple of days, and tomorrow night, Joshua and I will be recording our Trust the Bank podcast, analyzing the entire Ravens draft and going over the undrafted players that we really like from the squad. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Check out the podcast platform. It'll be posted on the podcast first, and then the segments will start rolling out on YouTube, but we will also be going live on Wednesday night like normal. So guys, make sure to stay tuned for that. And there will be a lot of videos also talking about potential wide receiver suitors for the Baltimore Ravens, because I know a lot of Ravens fans are interested in that position. But today's video is talking about Mr. Justin Houston, and I'm going to read the tweet directly from the source himself because, honestly, I think that's valuable. But basically, the general gist is the Ravens put their unrestricted free agent tender on Justin Houston. And if you don't really understand what that means, it means that if Justin Houston doesn't sign with a new team by July 22nd, so he's got 2 months basically to sign to a new team, then the Ravens are able to be the only team exclusive negotiating rights. The exact tweet comes from Field Yates. It says the Ravens and Chiefs both applied the seldom used unrestricted free agency tender on outside linebacker Justin Houston and Melvin Ingram, respectively. Initially, I read that and I thought the Ravens somehow tendered Melvin Ingram. No, the Chiefs tendered Melvin Ingram. The Ravens tendered Justin Houston. So, depending on when the Ravens training camp is, I don't know the exact schedule on my mind. It's either by training camp or July 22nd. The latter, the one that comes later, is going to be the date that Justin Houston has to pick a new team by, if he's able to. And if he doesn't, the Ravens have those exclusive rights, and the whole thing counts towards the compensatory pick formula, and we all know how much the Ravens love themselves some comp picks. So, let's talk about it. Justin Houston potentially coming back to the Baltimore Ravens. I thought it was a very good possibility, especially with the Ravens going out and drafting David Ojabo. I think that was a great draft pick. I stand by that draft pick. Justin Houston, he was described last year as Yoda. Odafe Oweh really respected him. He learned a lot from him. And I think bringing him back is going to help not only Odafe, but it's also going to help David Ojabo as he is recovering from that Achilles injury. So we can have, that veteran leader, in the front seven alongside Calais Campbell. He's the veteran leader on the edge. Calais Campbell's the veteran leader on the interior of that defensive line. And I think that really allows the young guys with that explosive athleticism like Odafe, Tyus Bowser, even Justin Madubuike on the inside, even a Travis Jones on the inside, to learn from those veterans and be able to improve their game to get to that next level. And David Ojabo gets to sit behind one of the best pass rushers in NFL history. Guys, Justin Houston, in his prime, had 22 sacks in a single season. One of the highest marks ever reached by any player in the history of football. Okay? That's up there with J.J. Watt. That's up there with Deacon Jones. Very, very few people have even come close to that mark. Very, very impressive. So, having a player that literally all David Ojabo has to do is sit and listen, learn. That's exactly what Yoda has to do to teach people, right? Sit and listen, watch him, and then when you're able to come back out onto that football field, put into action what he taught you. And also, Justin Houston was a pretty good player for the Ravens last season. Now, I think a lot of people were disappointed that he didn't come in and get 10 sacks, because we always want 10 sacks out of an edge rusher. That's certifies that, okay, he was really solid. But his PFF grade was actually surprising to me. It was a 77 overall, which is better than it was in the previous season. And I think the reason behind that was the Ravens run such an interesting scheme that a lot of times we talk about it, the edge rushers aren't able to get as many sacks as they would typically do. Now, he did have a problem. He was not able to finish a lot of sacks. However, he was able to win and get to the quarterback, which does provide value, even if sometimes you can't get the sack. It does rush the quarterback. Hitting the quarterback does put pressure on them. It can maybe scare them a little bit if they keep getting hit, thrown into the ground, and things like that. Justin Houston was very smart. He forced a fumble. He had 6 sacks last year. overall, I think that's very valuable. Now, technically it was 4.5, but he was involved in 6 sacks, which is just a very valuable mark for that Ravens defense. And now we have a new guy in Mike Macdonald taking over the defense. And maybe he will rely on his edge rushers like he did at Michigan when he had David Ojabo, who is now with the Ravens, and Aiden Hutchinson. Those guys were the edge rushers. He needed them to perform, to dominate, to execute their will upon opposing offensive linemen. As opposed to Wink Martindale, who is all about creativity and stunting people to allow for the unexpected guy to get the sack, right? It's Marlon Humphrey coming in through the B gap. It's Tavon Young coming, from the nickel cornerback position. It's Patrick Quinn coming up the A gap. There's so many different, situations the Ravens put their players in to get those sacks. Heck, remember when Earl Thomas got a sack? That's what Wink likes to do. He gives unique players positions to be able to get those sacks. I think Mike Macdonald is a better guy when it comes to getting your best players those sacks. Now, we'll see him at the NFL level. Can he actually do that? We're not 100% sure, but that's a skill set that it seems like he's going to be bringing to the Ravens this season. So, he has himself Odafe Oweh on the edge, which I think he's probably a big fan of. Who wouldn't be a fan of a super athletic freak with a ton of power and speed? I can't name a single person that wouldn't want that on their defensive line. Unless your starting edge rushers are Pro Bowlers, right? It's a super young guy, tons of potential, tons of talents, tons of drive, tons of motivation, tons of effort. That's what he's bringing you. On the other side, you have a veteran like a Justin Houston, who's a technician, who can, use his, years of experience to, figure out the exact move that he needs to get past your guy. And also guys like Dalen Hayes, who's also a technician, but he's just a little bit younger. And a Tyus Bowser, who can be used in a multitude of ways, whether it's dropping into pass coverage where he's very excellent, or rushing the passer where he can also be pretty proficient. It's going to give the Ravens a lot of different looks they can use, and he knows exactly what he can get out of David Ojabo when he's able to come back hopefully this season, late in the year. Maybe it's the playoffs, maybe it's week 15. Don't really know the exact timeline on when that's going to happen. Hopefully it's sooner rather than later, but just hope he's able to get back onto the football field at some point in his career. That's really the goal. Come back when you're healthy. But in the meantime, we have a very good veteran edge rusher that can at least help the defense. Is he going to win Defensive Player of the Year? No, I don't think so. However, he's going to be valuable because he's going to help Odafe. He's going to help Ojabo, Odafe and Ojabo, Ojabo, sorry. I get the last, the O's are mixing me up a little bit. We got Tyus Bowser, Dalen Hayes. I think it's going to be a really unique and interesting pass rushing group that now actually has that great, older, Yoda, veteran leadership that can help all of those guys improve their game. So I think it would be a really good move. Now, the signing hasn't happened, okay? They've just tendered it. So if he doesn't sign, then they have the exclusive rights, all right? This does not mean he's signing, but it means the Ravens at least are hoping that they were able to sign him because they did tender him. So hopefully he's able to sign. It shows that it's at least the steps in the right direction to hopefully be able to get him. But guys, let me know what you guys think. Should the Ravens, get that offer out there, really push hard to sign him? Or should they go after other players? Should they go after a wide receiver? If so, who? There's a couple of players. They could trade for some players. They could sign some free agents. Should they go after a different edge rusher? Should they go after the Chiefs' Melvin Ingram, who they hit with the same tender? Maybe we do a swap? I don't know. I actually really like the Justin Houston move if they're able to get it done. But thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe for Daily Ravens content. I apologize for the later video. I had class going basically all day. I will see all of you again tomorrow with the full draft recap analysis discussion with Joshua.